and media.
I'm with you. You know that.
Thank you. Hello, Chairman. Right thing to do.
No, that's right. It's the right thing to do. Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah. How are you?
I had talked to him today.
I'm here though.
Yes, I do. I do.
I go back to Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. 2 days ago, I unveiled my Rebuild Alabama infrastructure plan, and I am so proud today to be joined by a great group of supporters. Joining me today, Huntsville Mayor Tommy Battle, Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox, Mobile Mayor Sandy Stimson, and Montgomery Mayor Todd Strange. Also joining us today, representing the Alabama Association of County Commissions, are Choctaw County Commissioner Tony Cherry. Tony serves as president of the Association of County Commissioners, Henry County Probate Judge David Money, and Blount County Probate Judge Chris Green. The Association of County Commissioners will also present their new report on Alabama's infrastructure needs. Also here today, representing the Alabama League of Municipalities, of the City of Bessemer Council President Jesse Matthews, who serves as president of the League of Municipalities, and Opelika Mayor Gary Fuller. So thank you all for being here today and for being supportive of rebuilding Alabama's infrastructure. This group has come here today to better inform Alabamians about the need for our infrastructure and the importance of increasing the funding for infrastructure. In my Rebuild Alabama infrastructure plan, I have proposed a 10-cent increase to be phased in over 3 years, 6 cents in 2019, 2 cents the year after, and the next year 2 cents. Y'all, it's been nearly 3 decades, almost 30 years, 27 to be exact, since there's been any change in Alabama's investment in infrastructure. And this reasonable increase in our investment in infrastructure will keep us competitive with our sister states in the Southeast that have already raised their investment in infrastructure. This new revenue that will be raised by this increase will be divided among the state, the county, and the municipalities in Alabama, aiding their efforts to improve infrastructure. These funds are to be used solely for infrastructure, transportation, improvement, preservation, and maintenance projects only. Truly, this bill's going to have a lot of strong accountability in it to be sure that our monies go for roads and bridges, concrete and asphalt. A separate portion of the revenues will be used to finance improvements through a bond issue to finance providing access to the facilities at the Alabama State Docks at the Port of Mobile. And the revenue that's generated by this investment, and it's a conservative increase of 10 cents, will put us on a track to repave and replace our roads and bridges in a timely manner rather than getting us backed up into a corner. And with this increase in funding our infrastructure, Alabama will be more responsible in maintaining our roads and bridges. Alabamians will be safer and our future more prosperous. The fact of the matter is, this is a situation that's got to be addressed today, and it's absolutely important that we get this done in a timely fashion, and together, to be successful, we must do this task together. And that's one reason I'm so proud to have this group of supporters behind me. Alabamians, you know how to turn problems into opportunities. And I'm taking this opportunity to work with leaders from across our state to ensure that Alabama's best days are ahead of us. Now I'd like to invite my good friend, Mayor of Montgomery, Todd Strange, to the podium. Mayor Strange.
Thank you, Governor. In some way, shape or fashion, all of us are going to thank you for the leadership that you've shown. It's not easy to do these hard things. You see us standing with you, standing behind you, and we will do everything we can. From a standpoint of the mayors that will be speaking and those that we are representing, let me just say that nobody is satisfied with the D. Even though we got a D+, I mean, that's almost criminal that we've got a D. And that's an independent group that's rated us that way. Every single solitary day in Montgomery, we have 150,000 people that are in their cars, whether it be going to work or going to school. If you've ever been involved in a little hiccup at I-85 or I-65 interchange, you know we need to have some money to get some stuff done. If you've ever been on I-85 and had a little hiccup there at Taylor Road, you know that we've got to have some more money to get some things done. And what I would say is, and the governor said it in a little brief that we had previously, we need to do the right thing, and this is it. We need to do it the right way, and this is it, and we need to do it right now. Time is of the essence to get this done. We can't do this in 10 years. We got to do it now. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, we have another mayor that's here that has a different set of statements, and I'd like to introduce Sandy Stimpson, the mayor of Mobile.
Thank you, Mayor, and I too join the other mayors, Governor, and congratulate you, compliment you on stepping up. Been a lot of conversation about the need to do this. This is a generational opportunity to do something that's desperately needed. Representing Southwest Alabama, specifically the city of Mobile, the most important thing that we have there is our port. It is the lifeblood for so many industries and so many citizens in the state of Alabama, and it is imperative that we take this opportunity to fund the expansion of the port, specifically the deepening of the channel. So we're tremendously grateful that that's part of your bill, because without that, you know, that would not happen. And we have so many people that have invested in the city of Mobile, from building airplanes, building warships, Walmart distribution center. It goes on and on. This is about jobs, job creation. So thank you, Governor, and we stand with you. And at this time, I'll introduce Mayor Battle, Tommy Battle from Huntsville.
Thank you. And last weekend we gathered in Huntsville to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the state, the 200th celebration. And as we talked about that, 200 years we came together as a state and we wrote the Constitution so that we could raise the money for infrastructure, we could raise the money for education, and out of that money for education and infrastructure came jobs and economy. 200 years later, we're doing the same thing. We're coming back so that the legislature can come back and put in place infrastructure. That infrastructure will drive the economy, that will drive jobs, that will add to education. The whole process of this is to add to the economy of the state of Alabama, and Governor, thank you for taking this on. It's not an easy thing to take on, but we know that what is good for Huntsville is good for Mobile, is good for Jasper, is good for Auburn, Opelika. As we take care of this infrastructure, we add to the economy of the state, we make the state stronger. Thank you so much. And I'd like to introduce Walt Maddox, Mayor of Tuscaloosa. Come on, Walt. I didn't skip your mind.
Good afternoon. Governor, thank you for allowing us to join and be with you today. One of my favorite quotes is by Winston Churchill. He said, "The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it and ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is." The truth is, when you look at the data, Alabama is at the point, whether it's from safety or economic development, that we have to make a bold decision. And I want to commend Governor Ivey for the courage of her convictions to make this bill a priority in this session. Now, certainly I approach this as a mayor, but I also approach this as a father. I have a 16-year-old daughter, Governor, who's on the roadways of Alabama. And like most of you, I worry about my children, and I want my daughter on roads and bridges that are well lit and that are safe. I think about Eli, my 5-year-old son. I want my son to grow up here in Alabama. I want him to have the opportunity for the best jobs and build a business here in Alabama. One of the ways we can ensure that is by investing in our infrastructure. I also approach this as mayor, and I know this: if we do not support Governor Ivey and her plan to rebuild Alabama's infrastructure, our future can be jeopardized by it. So to me, Alabama is at a decision point. And if we're going to compete, not only now, but in the future, it is imperative that Alabama stands behind Governor Ivey and let's pass this legislation. Governor, thank you for your leadership. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce a friend and the president of the Alabama County Commissioner Association, Commissioner Tony Cherry. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor Maddox. Good afternoon. I'm Tony Cherry. I'm a Choctaw County Commissioner, and I'm president of the Association of County Commissioners of Alabama. First and foremost, Governor, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your leadership in working to rebuild Alabama and dedicating a safer home for the residents and a more desirable location for existing businesses and industry to come here in Alabama. Secondly, I would like to thank Pro Tem Del Marsh for his continued support of infrastructure needs and his efforts to provide all levels of government with increased funding. I would like to thank House Member McClutchin for being a champion for county infrastructure and heading county concerns back in 2016 and being able to be the one to introduce legislation on this increased funding. At the county level, I want to say that we have been dealing with this infrastructure crisis for more than a decade. After more than 30 years of insufficient funding, we are truly concerned for the safety and the well-being of our residents. I want you to know that the importance of working with our state leadership is to protect our residents, and that we have been working alongside them for several years to shed light on this issue. You know, it's going to take all 67 counties to get this done. I can't go to church on Sundays. I can't go to the grocery store without somebody saying, Commissioner Cherry, when are you going to fix our road? And my answer replied to them, not today, but maybe tomorrow, in the near future. You know, you get tired of saying that to your residents or to your citizens. I want to say that the state have done largely nothing since 1992 when the gas tax was last increased. I want you to know that the counties depend largely on their portion of statewide gas tax because counties do not have the authority to levy their own fuel tax. Municipalities does. And since 1992, Alabama has seen a rise in inflation rates, construction costs, population, registered vehicles, miles driven, system capacity, and fuel efficiency, all of which have contributed to a 27-year decimation of funding for county infrastructure. The definition of doing nothing is the absence of all magnitude or quality. Since 1992, our roads and bridges, there have been an absence in magnitude and quality. We pieced together covers, we used tar and rocks to gravel roads for our school buses to travel, we replaced a bridge or two, but especially when it comes to federal money to cover most of these costs. We've used innovative ways to recycle asphalt to put back down on our county roads. But in reality, we've done nothing. We've done nothing to move our state forward, nothing to keep up with the neighboring states, nothing to make us competitive, nothing to support agriculture or forestry industry. We've tried to do something many, many times, but the answer has always been the same. Wait another year or two, be more efficient, come up with better ideas, trim your workforce, do nothing. At this time, I would like to say that we, as the Association of County Commissioners, we wholeheartedly support Governor Ivey in her effort to rebuild Alabama, and I want to say, Governor, thank you. At this time, I want to introduce my colleague and my friend who serves as probate judge and county commissioner of Henry County and president-elect of the County Commission Association of Alabama, because he has a big announcement to make about the cost of doing nothing for 27 years. Judge Money, would you come at this time, please?
Thank you, Tony, and I do join Tony and the mayors in thanking the governor and the leadership of the House and Senate for addressing this critical issue. Tony mentioned the cost of doing nothing. For almost 30 years, it's immeasurable in terms of safety and the well-being of our citizens. Henry County, half of our bridges are over 50 years old. They're causing detours not only by school buses, but by logging trucks, fire trucks, and other first responders. Based on current funding, none of those bridges are on the tab to be replaced anytime in the next 5 years. But by comparison, Henry County's roads are in worse condition than our bridges. This is a photo of a road that was on the November issue of the association's magazine. It's a county road down in Henry County, County Road 55, and I have a very quick story to tell you about the passion of the people down there. I received a phone call about 2 years ago from a gentleman who lived on this road, and he said, come down here. And I came, and he had one question. He said, when is this road going to be resurfaced? Well, I spent a few minutes telling him about the funding dilemma, but then I also told him that if we ever got the funding, that we had a formula to decide which roads would get resurfaced. The criteria of 3, the traffic count on that road, the condition of that road, and the accident data, especially if it involved a fatality. I thought really he understood what I was saying. The next morning I got a call from a friend and said, you might want to run down here. When I got down there, across the road from this gentleman's house, out in a plowed field, was an 8x10 plastic flashing lighting sign that you might see in front of a pawn shop. He had strung 3 extension cords from that sign across this very road over to his house for power, and on that sign was this message. It had the commission's phone number, it had my personal cell number, which is okay, and it had that Judge Money told me that someone must die on this road before they resurface it, and we need volunteers. You know, we've kind of laughed about that some, but it's actually sadder than it is humorous, because that's a common thread that's weaved in and out of each of our 67 counties. Our association realized that the results of the failure to do nothing for 27 years need to be shown in graphic form for elected officials and the general public to clearly realize that doing nothing is no longer an option. So last November, the association collected data from engineering departments in all 67 counties. Insights pulled from this data are shown in this association's official report entitled The Cost of Doing Nothing, a report of Alabama's crumbling county infrastructure. It has a wealth of information on every county in the state. It's 78 pages long, and there are copies will be available this afternoon. 4 quick points from here. County roads across our state are currently on a resurfacing recycle of 114 years, as opposed to every 15 years that's recommended. Over 45% of the county bridges in Alabama are more than 50 years old and due to be replaced. The third point, counties are responsible for the maintenance of more than 62% of the state's centerline road miles. For them to meet minimum safety standards, $493 million would be needed annually. And to replace those bridges that are over 50 years old, we're talking about $2 billion. So in closing, you know, it's just a matter of fact that we've dug ourselves a deep hole. But you know, it's not really just about the money, it's honestly more about the safety of our citizens. We've now reached the point where we're no longer focused on solving it completely, but rather on making significant improvements as quickly as possible. So we at ACCA wholeheartedly support every penny of the new money going exclusively to roads and bridges. And we support legislation that will mandate that we are all responsible, accountable, and transparent with the taxpayers' investment. And that's why we proudly support Governor Ivey's Rebuild Alabama initiative. Governor, we thank you again for making infrastructure rehabilitation a priority. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce a really great friend and a true gentleman, probate judge and county commission chairman Chris Green from Blount County.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say to the president of our association, President Cherry, and to President-elect Money, on behalf of counties, we really appreciate the leadership that you are giving the County Commission Association in trying to improve the lives of people in counties all across the state of Alabama. And to you, Governor Ivey, we appreciate so much what you are doing. We know that it takes vision, it takes hard work, courage, and leadership, and you're giving us that, and we appreciate it so very much. It's been said that nothing has been done in 27 years, and I thought of the fact that none of us here today are living on the earnings that we were earning 27 years ago, and how unrealistic it is for us to expect that we would be able to keep up and maintain our county roads and bridges on that same revenue that we have been receiving all that time without some type of increase. And I think I can personalize a little bit what Judge Money was saying about the state as a whole by telling you a little bit about our county, which is very indicative, Governor, of counties all over, especially North Alabama, that I'm familiar with. In Blount County, we have the responsibility of maintaining 120 bridges in the county road system. That's just in our county, and that's very much indicative of counties all across the state. But of those 120 bridges, Governor, 71 of those bridges are more than 50 years old. So we know that as these bridges age and the life expectancy is exceeded, that they're more likely to receive weight restrictions and reach a deficient grade by the state. And so we know also that because of that, as has been stated, there are many school buses that have to detour, ambulance, especially our farmers. Blount County is still a very rural community, and getting our farm products from farm to market is still a very important thing for us. In addition to the many bridges that we have 1,134 miles of road in our county that we must maintain. And of that 1,134 miles, 994 are paved miles. And when we think about the life expectancy of these roads and the plant mix or asphalt that's used being 15 years, then we would have to resurface 331 miles every 5-year cycle in order to adequately maintain those roads. And that's not just for us. I'm sharing Blount County data, but it's data that can be shared from any county in the state. So currently, where we need to be doing 331 miles in that 5-year cycle, Governor, we have only had the revenue to do 126 miles for the last several years. So we are very much falling behind in that regard. So to keep our county roads and bridges up to the recommended safety standards in our county, we would need $12.4 million annually. Currently, our budget, when we back out necessary overhead, is $2.4 million. That leaves us in a deficit situation of $10 million. And so certainly we cannot afford to do nothing. The time is now for us to try to make gains in these areas. And it's not just about industry, it's not just about getting our products from farm to market. It's about the lives of nearly 700 Alabamians that are lost too soon every year in county road accidents. 700. Fire trucks, ambulances are forced to take longer routes to avoid weight-restricted bridges. Residents are dangerously dodging potholes and deteriorating shoulders of our county roads on their way to work. School children are spending excessive time on their school bus routes. And of course, the new jobs and revenue that we need to be receiving is often going to other places. So, Governor, we are with you on this initiative. Let me say, for these reasons, just like President Tony and President-elect David was saying, our association sincerely appreciates and wholeheartedly supports your effort, Governor, and to provide our state and local governments the funding we need. Let's rebuild Alabama. Thank you, Governor, and it's my pleasure at this time to introduce Council Member Jesse Matthews from the City of Bessemer, who is the current president of the League of Municipalities. Mr. Matthews.
Good evening. To Governor Ivory, thanks for your initiative and thanks for your leadership in this state. And thank all these guys here that have leadership abilities as well. And thanks, Mayor Strange, for having us in Montgomery. Good afternoon. I'm Jesse Matthews. I'm president of the Alabama League of Municipalities and president of the Bessemer City Council. I'm honored to represent the League of Municipalities this afternoon, and we are proud to support Governor Ivey in her Rebuild Alabama infrastructure plan. We look forward to working hand in hand with Governor Ivey and the state legislator to make this dream become a reality. And I also would like to say this is a critical issue, and we want to be partners with you and the legislature to address these critical issues. It's time that we as Alabamans invest in Alabama. We'd like to thank the League for this critical conversation that we're having today, and we want to make Alabama great as it always have been and keep our infrastructure so we can compete in this economy. Thanks a lot. And I'd like to pass the ball to Mayor Gary Fuller, Mayor of Opelika. Thank you.
Hey, y'all gonna love me because I'm the last one. Governor, you like that too. I am Gary Fuller. I have the honor and privilege of being the mayor of Opelika, and I serve as the League of Municipalities Committee, chair of that committee on state and federal legislation. There's no question about the need for additional infrastructure all over our state. We heard from our big city mayors, and listen, it's true in big cities, in small towns, all across Alabama, whether it be Bessemer, Opelika, Camp Hill, Cullman, you name it. Here's the thing, Governor, we're all in this together. And so good times, bad times, in between times, and it's a great time to do this. And we support you, and we thank you for what you're doing, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
This concludes our press conference this afternoon, and I'm just grateful for these individuals behind me and the groups they represent for joining in this worthy effort for the people of Alabama to have a prosperous future as we rebuild Alabama together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor.